We're at the first step in the process of making our sandwich bread, and that's bringing the ingredients together and then letting them rest. So as soon as you bring flour and liquid together, you activate the enzymes, and it's called a autolyse. So what we have here is just room temperature milk, I've got flour. It's regular all-purpose flour. And this is strong bread flour. I have an active starter, which means that it has more than doubled in size and there's a lot of activity going on. So depending on how long you want to ferment your product, you use a little bit more or a little bit less. I have a little bit of sugar here. We'll wait with the butter and the salt for later. So what we're aiming at here is just bringing it together into a rough texture. Just make sure the dry ingredients are mixed with the wet. Just scoop up from the bottom and scrape it down from the sides. That's enough. We're not mixing or kneading, just bringing it together. And I'm using my scraper to clean the bowl, and of course my tool here. That's enough. Just make sure you scrape from the sides and bring it all into a ball in the middle, like that. There you go. I just cover this and put it aside for 30-40 minutes. So this has now been left to strengthen on its own for about 30 minutes, and we can already see there's a little bit of strength building up, so it's possible to stretch it just by a natural process. And it's now time to work this dough. I'll be working this by hand, but you can of course put it into a machine, but it needs to be worked a good 8 to 10 minutes before we add the butter. So I'll be working this and I'll be back for the butter. So our dough has now been worked properly for about 10 minutes, and as you can see it has a lot of strength and it's now ready to absorb all that butter. And you can see the dough is coming clear off of the sides of the bowl, so it just stays together, and that's a good sign that it's ready. So I'll be adding all of this butter, but a little bit at a time. So this is room temperature butter, and it needs to be worked another 5 minutes perhaps before we add the salt. So make sure you work it properly or put it into a mixing machine. So all of the butter has now been added to the dough, and you can see here that the dough has lost a little bit of strength because it breaks, so it means you need to work it more. You can already feel and see the silkiness of the dough and the richness of the dough, almost like velvet. So it needs a little bit of work before it's ready to absorb the salt. And the salt is going to have its effect on the dough. So the dough will come together in a completely new way when you add the salt to it. So I've been working this dough with the butter for about 5 minutes. And I think it is now time to add our salt. Just gonna add all of it at once. This is completely going to transform the dough. I like to pinch the dough between my fingers and then pull on it. To get a little bit of stretch on the fibers. Just a little bit more now. I'm going to finish the dough on the table. So just a little bit more and then we get it up onto the table. Okay, so get our dough onto the table. Thing is, you cannot leave this in a bowl to ferment like this, because you need a way to handle the dough. So you need to create that skin on the dough, that surface. So just a few flaps like this, and you see already that skin is forming. And then use your scraper and just spin it on the table and bring it with you and bring it back. And then use your hand to drag it on the table. Okay, so gentle flouring upside down and just fold it in like this. You now have something with a little bit of structure into it. So just put it in the bowl to rest and ferment for up to 4 hours, depending on the heat of your kitchen and how much starter we had. So just use your scraper, lift it up. You have your top side. Your top side is this one up here. And put it aside, covered, to ferment. So we're going to get this dough out onto the board and we're going to shape it, and then we're going to place it in the tin. But first it needs to bench rest. So if you work the dough, it needs to rest. So I'm going to show you how to. scrapers, some flour, release the dough from the bowl and turn it upside down so the top is down onto the table. Little bit of flour, just gently degas, just tap on it a little bit. So we're going to fold the bottom side into the middle, gently press down. And we're going to fold the top side over and gently press down. Now turn it, so we have the top side here. Fold the ends onto itself, like this. And then just gently place it to the side and just tuck it in like that. See the bubbles here? That's the fermentation. So we're going to leave it like that, covered. The dough has now been resting on the bench for 10 minutes and it's time to give it its final shape and put it in the loaf pan to make it into a cube. I'm going to use a little bit of flour. I'm going to use my scraper to lift the dough and put it upside down like that. So now the sticky side is here, and just fold the ends on top of it themselves like this. Just like that, upside down. And I'm gonna drag it on the table, and this then creates the tension in the dough. There we go. I'm gonna place this inside the tin with our top side up. Now this is gonna proof another few hours and then it's ready to bake. It's now time to bake our sandwich bread, and it's been proofing for a few hours inside the tin loaf, which I greased before I put the dough into it. And the temperature is now quite high since it's summertime in Sweden and in Europe, and it's quite humid as well, so the activity is really high, and you can see all the activity going on, and that's the bubbles forming because the gases are being produced by the bacteria. So my oven is preheated to 225 degrees and it's gonna bake for 15 minutes. And then I'll turn the temperature down to 200 and bake it for another 15 minutes. And this is going to be baked in the middle part of the oven. Our sandwich bread has now been baking for 30 minutes and it's time to look if we achieve the perfect cube. Go. Just gonna turn this upside down. Right. So there we have it. There you can make some nice slices and some nice sandwiches to go. Just look at that.